This is going to be the easiest promotion of my career. First neural engineer VIX-92 announced to the laboratory at large, E6 appendages moving in perfect synchronization across the holo controls. Human brains are practically begging to be accessed. So simple, so unguarded. Senior Director's Rel 4 hovered nervously behind him, all four eyes blinking out of sequence, a sure sign of stress among the Quartzians. Need I remind you, engineer, that 3 of our best interface specialists have already failed this assignment? The High Council grows impatient. The others were incompetent, VIX-92 replied, not bothering to look up from the translucent brain scan rotating before him. They approached humans as if they were any other sentient species. That was their first mistake. The captured human specimen floated peacefully in the suspension chamber, vital signs stable, consciousness subdued but intact. The nameplate on the monitoring system identified him as Douglas Parker, an unremarkable name for what appeared to be an unremarkable human male, approximately 34 Earth years in age, with no distinguishing features that would have marked him as special among his kind, perfect for the Quartzian research protocol. The most average specimen often yielded the most representative data. Remind me again why we are doing this, Junior Technician Neb asked, her voice carrying that annoying quiver of the newly graduated. The official briefing was vague. VIX-92 sighed dramatically, releasing a small cloud of copper-colored spores, his species equivalent of an eye roll. Because, young one, humans are the only species in the quadrant refusing to join the galactic network. Their primitive paranoia about mind control has them rejecting the neural interface that would connect their species to the collective knowledge of 57 advanced civilizations. The Director's Rel 4 cleared his throat sacs. And the High Council believes that if we can successfully map and access a human mind, we can persuade them of the benefits. Exactly. VIX-92's mouthparts clicked together in what passed for a smile among his kind. Once we understand how their neural architecture functions, we can design an interface they can't refuse. Now, everyone quiet. I'm beginning the initial scan. The laboratory fell silent as the ambient lighting dimmed to a soft purple glow. VIX-92's manipulators danced across the control surface, initiating the delicate process of neural mapping. A beam of coherent energy, invisible to most species but appearing as a soft golden haze to Quartzian eyes, extended from the sealing apparatus toward the human's exposed cranium. Initial resistance minimal, VIX-92 narrated, professional pride evident in his tone. Deploying first-level probe sequences now. On the main display, the human's neural activity spiked briefly before settling into a pattern of calm, rhythmic pulses. VIX-92 allowed himself a smug trill of satisfaction. See? Nothing to it. These humans build such elaborate defenses against physical threats, yet leave their minds completely unshielded. It's almost disappointing how easy. The alarm klaxon cut him off mid-sentence, its piercing wail causing all Quartzians present to retract their sensory filaments in pain. What's happening? Director's Rel 4 demanded, panic coloring his normally measured tones. VIX-92's appendages flew across the controls. Impossible. The human's consciousness is responding to the probe. That can't wait. There's some kind of feedback loop forming in the neural interface. Break the connection. Rel 4 shouted. Now. I'm trying. VIX-92 hissed, genuine fear replacing his earlier arrogance. The system isn't responding to termination commands. On the main display, the human's neural patterns transformed from orderly waves into a chaotic storm of activity. More alarmingly, similar patterns began appearing in the Quartzian computer systems. It's hacking back into our network, Junior Technician Neb whispered, voice trembling. How is that possible? Inside the suspension chamber, Douglas Parker's eyes snapped open. Well, he said, his voice somehow transmitting through the supposedly soundproof barrier. Looks like I caught some fish. The smirk on his face sent chills through every Quartzian appendage in the room. Aging emergency protocols. Rel 4 shouted, slamming his primary limb onto the bright red emergency cutoff switch. Nothing happened. Douglas Parker's smile widened. Yeah, that's not going to work. You guys really should update your cybersecurity. It's practically ancient by our standards. VIX-92 stared in horror as the human's vital signs surged beyond normal parameters, yet the specimen showed no signs of distress. Quite the opposite, he appeared to be thriving. This is impossible, VIX-92 muttered. No species has the natural ability to counter a Quartzian neural probe, let alone reverse engineer it mid-process. About that, Douglas said conversationally, as if they were chatting over drinks rather than in the middle of a high-security alien laboratory. You folks really should have done better research before grabbing random humans off the street. I'm not exactly typical. The suspension fluid began draining from the chamber without any Quartzian initiating the process. Emergency lights flashed uselessly throughout the facility. What are you? Zrel 4 demanded, backing away from the chamber. Douglas stepped out as the glass barrier slid open, stretching casually like someone waking from a pleasant nap. Professionally? I'm what my people call a white hat hacker. Basically, I break into systems to show others how to protect them better. He tapped his temple. And thanks to some experimental neural enhancements courtesy of a little startup called Neurasoph, my brain is essentially a quantum computer with biological components. VIX-92's copper spores turned ashen gray, the Quartzian equivalent of turning pale. You are augmented. Bingo. Give the alien a prize. Douglas winked. And right now I'm connected to your entire system. A fascinating architecture, by the way. Very elegant. Bit outdated in terms of security, though. Junior technician Neb edged toward the exit, only to find the door sealed shut. Oh, nobody's going anywhere just yet, Douglas said pleasantly. We need to have a little chat about consent, interstellar relations, and the very serious crime of kidnapping Earth citizens. VIX-92 felt his professional pride shatter like thin glass. The High Council will never tolerate this insult. We are the Quartzians. We have been exploring the stars since your species was discovering fire. And yet here we are, Douglas replied, gesturing around the laboratory that he now apparently controlled. You know what your problem is. You have mistaken technological advancement for actual evolution. Just because you have been around longer doesn't mean you have been learning the right lessons. With a casual flick of his wrist, Douglas somehow activated the main display screen, which now showed a map of what appeared to be the entire Quartzian network. For instance, did you know I have already downloaded your complete database of alien species technologies and star charts? Fascinating stuff. Our scientists will be thrilled. Oh, and I have also installed some rather robust security protocols that will prevent you from trying this little brain hacking experiment on any other humans. The Director Zrel 4's posture deflated in defeat. The High Council will have us all recycled for this failure. Not necessarily, Douglas said, his tone softening slightly. I'm actually authorized to negotiate on behalf of Earth's unified defense network. We have been aware of your little abduction program for months. Why do you think I was walking alone in that particular remote area? Perfect spot for an alien abduction, wouldn't you say? The three Quartzians exchanged confused glances, their appendages twitching nervously. You wanted to be captured? Neb asked, disbelief evident in her voice. Let's just say we needed a direct connection to your systems, and you folks aren't exactly listed in our contact directory. Douglas began casually examining various alien instruments around the lab. Earth isn't opposed to joining your galactic network, by the way. We are just opposed to the current interface design. From what I have downloaded so far, it looks like your neural technology is actually quite invasive and, frankly, inefficient. VIX-92 bristled despite his fear. Our interface design is the culmination of 12,000 years of research. And it shows, Douglas replied with a sympathetic grimace. Look, no offense, but you are still using a direct synaptic modification approach. We abandoned that path decades ago after discovering the resonance transfer method. much cleaner, virtually no side effects, and it preserves individual neural autonomy. The human walked over to the neural interface controls and, to VIX-92's professional horror, began reconfiguring them with apparent expertise. "Here," Douglas said, making one final adjustment. "I have just upgraded your basic interface protocols. Consider it a good faith gesture. This should increase your connection efficiency by roughly 300% while reducing integration rejection by nearly 90%. Director Zrel 4 approached cautiously, examining the modified code structure. His four eyes widened simultaneously. This is revolutionary." "It's actually pretty standard stuff where I come from," Douglas shrugged. "Now, about our negotiations. Earth is prepared to establish formal relations with the galactic network under certain conditions. As the human outlined terms full technological exchange, non-interference guarantees, mutual defense provisions, VIX-92 found himself experiencing an emotion rare among Quartzians, genuine humility. "You planned this entire encounter," he realized aloud. "You used our own arrogance against us." Douglas grinned. "Let's just say we figured you'd eventually try to hack a human brain, so we made sure you'd hack the right one. Think of it as introducing ourselves in a language you'd understand. By completely dominating our systems and stealing our data?" Junior Technician Neb asked, a hint of outrage in her voice. "Exactly how you were planning to introduce yourselves to us, wasn't it?" Douglas countered. "Sometimes the best way to teach a lesson is to let someone experience their own medicine." Before any of the Quartzians could respond, a new alarm sounded different from the previous one, more urgent. "Ah," Douglas said, checking what appeared to be an invisible watch on his wrist. "Right on schedule. That would be my extraction team arriving. They have probably already neutralized your security forces non-lethally, of course. We are not barbarians." The main laboratory doors slid open, revealing 6 humans in sleek, dark combat suits. Unlike the primitive projectile weapons Quartzian intelligence had reported, these humans carried devices that hummed with energy even the advanced aliens couldn't identify. "Perfect timing, Commander Lakshmi," Douglas called out. "I was just explaining to our new friends here that Earth is open to diplomatic relations, provided they stop kidnapping our citizens and trying to hack our brains." The human commander nodded crisply. "The perimeter is secure, and we have established a direct link to Earth Command. Transport is standing by." Douglas turned back to the stunned Quartzians. "Well, this has been fun, but I should be going. I have left contact protocols in your system, secure ones that don't involve abductions. Have your High Council reach out when they are ready to talk like civilized beings." As the humans prepared to depart, Douglas paused, looking directly at VIX-92. "Oh, and one more thing. That promotion you were so excited about? I wouldn't count on it." With a final wink and a wave that somehow managed to be both friendly and mocking, Douglas Parker joined his extraction team, leaving behind 3 speechless Quartzians and a laboratory full of mysteriously upgraded alien technology. "The High Council is going to demote us all to waste management," Zrel 4 moaned, all 4 eyes closing in despair. VIX-92 stared at the space where the human had stood, a terrible realization dawning. "No," he said slowly. "I think we just made first contact with humanity, the real humanity. And Director? I think we might want to reconsider our position in the galactic hierarchy." As the laboratory systems gradually returned to Quartzian control, a message appeared on the main display in both Quartzian script and English. "Thanks for the hospitality. We will be in touch. P.S. You might want to check your orbital defense grid. We took the liberty of fixing a few critical vulnerabilities while we were connected. You are welcome, humanity." VIX-92's appendages trembled as he realized the truth. They hadn't been the hunters. They'd been the prey all along. "The High Council demands an explanation for this catastrophic security breach." Grand Arbiter Cole 7 thundered, his massive form dominating the circular chamber where the most powerful Quartzians in the galaxy had gathered for an emergency session. VIX-92 stood in the center of the room, feeling microscopic beneath the collective gaze of the 12 council members. His once promising career now balanced on the edge of total ruin. Esteemed council, he began, his voice modulator struggling to maintain a steady tone. I take full responsibility for underestimating the human subject. Our intelligence on their neural capabilities was severely outdated. Lassen. Outdated? High Counselor Plex 3 scoffed, her crystalline exoskeleton glinting under the harsh lights. You allowed a single primitive mammal to compromise our entire network. Systems that have remained secure for millennia were breached in minutes. Director Zrel 4 stepped forward, surprisingly coming to VIX-92's defense. With respect, Counselor, there was nothing primitive about this human. Their neural technology appears to have leapfrogged our own while we weren't paying attention. Security Admiral Jax 115 rose from his seat, mandibles clicking in agitation. The damage assessment is concerning. The human called Douglas Parker didn't just breach our systems. He rewrote them. Our technicians are still discovering modifications throughout the network. Harmful modifications? Cole 7 demanded. The Admiral's appendages performed a gesture of uncertainty. That's the peculiar thing. Every change we have identified so far appears to be beneficial. Enhanced efficiency protocols, strengthened security parameters, even some error corrections in our stellar navigation systems that have apparently been wrong for centuries. A murmur of disbelief rippled through the council chamber. Are we supposed to be grateful? Counselor Plex 3 snapped. These humans violated our most sacred technological sovereignty. After we attempted to violate their neural sovereignty, Zrel 4 pointed out quietly. The chamber fell silent. What exactly did this human say about Earth's intentions? Cole 7 finally asked, his tone marginally less thunderous. VIX-92 activated a holo recording of his encounter with Douglas Parker. The human's confident image materialized in the center of the chamber, his words about diplomatic relations and technological exchange echoing through the stunned silence. When the recording ended, Grand Arbiter Cole 7 leaned forward. So they knew we were abducting their kind and used it as an opportunity to infiltrate our systems. Strategically brilliant, Admiral Jax 115 admitted. Professional appreciation evident, despite the circumstances. They let us believe we had the upper hand while positioning their enhanced operative exactly where he needed to be. The question remains, Counselor Plex 3 interjected, what do we do now? This human left contact protocols. Do we use them and risk further humiliation, or do we sever all potential connections with Earth and reinforce our defenses? Before anyone could respond, a soft chime echoed through the chamber. The distinctive sound of an incoming transmission on a secure channel that shouldn't have been accessible to anyone outside the council. What is the meaning of this? Cole 7 demanded, gesturing to the communications officer. The young Quartzian's appendages trembled. Grand Arbiter, we are receiving a direct transmission from Earth. They are using our most secure diplomatic frequency, the frequency that hasn't been used in over 300 cycles. How is that possible? Plex 3 hissed. The human, Douglas Parker, VIX-92 realized aloud. He must have found it in our databases. Cole 7's upper eyes narrowed while his lower ones consulted with his neural advisors. After a moment of tense deliberation, he nodded. Put it through. Full security protocols. The central hologram shifted, and a human female appeared. Unlike Douglas Parker's casual demeanor, this human exuded formal authority. Her dark skin contrasted with a silver uniform adorned with insignia that none of the Quartzians could interpret. Greetings to the High Council of the Quartzian Dominion, she began, her voice translated perfectly into mid-range Quartzian frequencies. I am Admiral Teresa Flores of Earth's Unified Defense Network. I trust our representative, Douglas Parker, has already made quite an impression. Cole 7 rose to his full height. This communication method is unprecedented and highly irregular. The human smiled. So is kidnapping our citizens for neural experimentation, yet here we are. I'm contacting you directly because time is of the essence. The information Douglas extracted from your systems has been illuminating. What information specifically concerns you, Admiral? Jax 115 asked, professional curiosity overriding protocol. Your records regarding the entity you call the Void Convergence, Admiral Flores replied, her expression growing serious. We have translated enough to understand they pose a significant threat to all life in this sector, including both our civilizations. The council chamber erupted in overlapping vocalizations of shock and disbelief. Silence. Cole 7 thundered, before turning back to the human. That information is classified at the highest level. How dare you? How dare we know that an aggressive hive mind collective is consuming entire star systems at the edge of your territory? Admiral Flores interrupted. How dare we discover that your scientists predict they will reach inhabited worlds within 3 standard years? Or perhaps you are upset we learned that your attempts to communicate with them have failed spectacularly. The Grand Arbiter's appendages went completely still, a sign of extreme distress among his kind. What Douglas discovered, the Admiral continued more gently, is that our civilizations face a common enemy, one that neither of us can defeat alone. This changes the nature of our relationship considerably, doesn't it? Counselor Plex 3 leaned forward. If you have truly accessed this information, then you know why we have been so desperate to integrate all sentient species into the galactic network. United consciousness is our only defense against the void. And yet your approach has been fundamentally flawed, a new voice said as another human joined Admiral Flores in the hologram. VIX-92 immediately recognized Douglas Parker, now dressed in a uniform similar to the Admiral's, though with different insignia. Your current neural interface technology sacrifices individual cognitive diversity for unity, Douglas explained. But our research suggests that's exactly the wrong approach against a hive mind enemy. You are essentially creating a larger version of the very thing you are fighting. Admiral Jax 115 clicked his mandibles thoughtfully. The human has a point. The void's strength comes from its perfect uniformity of thought. There's never internal disagreement to slow its decisions. Exactly, Douglas nodded. What you need isn't forced neural homogeneity. You need a network that preserves and amplifies cognitive diversity while enabling unprecedented coordination. Like the interface improvements you left in our systems, VIX-92 realized aloud. Douglas smiled. That was just a preview, a demonstration of what's possible when our technologies are combined. Admiral Flores stepped forward again. We are proposing an alliance, effective immediately. Earth will share our neural interface technology and join your galactic network, but on our terms with full preservation of cognitive autonomy for all species. And in return? Cole 7 asked, skepticism evident in his posture. In return, we gain access to your interstellar transportation network and defensive capabilities, she replied. Together, we prepare for the coming conflict with the Void Convergence. The council chamber fell silent as the Quartzians processed this unexpected proposal. This is unprecedented, Counselor Plex 3 finally said. You have violated our systems, stolen our data, and now propose an alliance as if you are doing us a favor? Douglas stepped forward again. Actually, yes. Consider what would have happened if we'd responded to your abductions with military action instead of creative diplomacy. Our quantum-based weapons systems would have been quite effective against your crystalline technology. Admiral Jax 115's appendages twitched in alarm. You are bluffing. Our intelligence shows no evidence of such weapons. Your intelligence also showed no evidence of neural-enhanced humans capable of hacking your entire network, Douglas countered with a raised eyebrow. How's that assessment working out for you? Grand Arbiter Cole 7 raised an appendage for silence. We require time to consider your proposal, humans. Of course, Admiral Flores nodded. But be aware that the Void Convergence doesn't operate on diplomatic timescales. According to your own data, they have accelerated their consumption pattern by 22% in the past cycle. We have taken the liberty of establishing an embassy vessel at the coordinates being transmitted now. Our representatives await your decision. With that, the transmission ended, leaving the council in stunned silence. "They have positioned a vessel in our space without detection?" Admiral Jax 115 exclaimed, already checking the coordinates. "How is that possible?" VIX-92, who had remained silent during most of the exchange, suddenly felt all eyes in the chamber turned to him. Engineer VIX-92, Cole 7 intoned, "You have had the most direct contact with these humans. What is your assessment? Can they be trusted?" The question hung in the air like a physical presence. VIX-92 considered his response carefully, knowing his words might shape the future of multiple civilizations. "Trusted? I'm not certain," he began slowly. "But respected? Absolutely. The human Douglas Parker could have destroyed our systems rather than improving them. They could have launched attacks rather than opening diplomatic channels." He paused, gathering his courage. "And most importantly, they are right about the void convergence. Our current approach has yielded minimal progress." Director Zrel 4 stepped forward. "The preliminary analysis of their neural interface design is revolutionary. It accomplishes everything our scientists have been attempting for centuries, but through an entirely different methodology. A methodology that conveniently gives them access to our entire network," Counselor Plex 3 pointed out. "Just as our methodology would have given us access to their minds," Zrel 4 countered. "The difference is their approach preserves autonomy. Ours does not." Not. Grand Arbiter Cole 7 rose from his seat, signaling a decision. "Admiral Jax 115, assemble a diplomatic and scientific delegation immediately. Director Zrel 4, you will lead the scientific team. Engineer VIX-92, you will accompany them." VIX-92's appendages trembled in surprise. "Me? Grand Arbiter?" "No. Yes, this human Douglas Parker seems to have developed an interest in you. Perhaps even a strange form of respect. Use that to our advantage." "And what are our objectives?" Admiral Jax 115 asked. Cole 7's 4 eyes blinked in sequence, a sign of reluctant acceptance. "Evaluate their claims. Assess their technology. Determine if an alliance is viable." He paused. "And prepare contingencies in case it is not." 12 standard rotations later, VIX-92 stood aboard the human embassy vessel Diplomatic Overture, watching as Quartzian and human scientists collaborated on neural interface prototypes. The atmosphere was tense but productive, centuries of interspecies prejudice giving way to the pragmatism of shared survival. "Still think we are primitive mammals?" Douglas Parker asked, materializing beside him with that infuriating human capacity for silent movement. "I have updated my assessment," VIX-92 replied stiffly. "Your species is remarkably adaptable." Douglas laughed. "Coming from you, that's practically a love letter." VIX-92's appendages flickered in irritation. "Your breach of our systems remains an unforgivable violation," says the alien who tried to hack my brain, Douglas countered with a grin. "Look, I get it. Pride is a universal constant. But survival requires flexibility." Before VIX-92 could respond, alarms blared throughout the ship. Admiral Flores's voice echoed through the communication system. "All personnel to emergency stations. We are receiving a distress signal from Outpost Gamma 9. The void convergence has breached the outer defense perimeter. This is not a drill." Douglas's expression transformed instantly from playful to focused. "Looks like theory becomes practice sooner than expected." Together they rushed to the command center, where humans and Quartzians stood side by side before a tactical display showing a horrifying sight, a writhing mass of darkness consuming a small outpost station. The void arrived months ahead of projections, Director Zrel 4 reported, all 4 eyes wide with fear. "Our models were wrong. Or they detected our alliance and accelerated their timeline," Admiral Jax 115 suggested grimly. Admiral Flores stepped forward. "The outpost has 53 Quartzian personnel aboard. Standard evacuation protocols will take too long." "We have to try something," Douglas insisted. "It's the neural interface prototype. It is untested," VIX-92 interrupted. The risk of catastrophic cognitive damage is less than the certainty of death if we do nothing, Douglas finished. I volunteer as the human component. A hush fell over the command center. You can't be serious, VIX-92 said. The interface would connect your consciousness directly to a Quartzian operator. No human and Quartzian minds have ever been linked. Douglas met his gaze steadily. Then I guess we are about to make history. Again. To everyone's shock, VIX-92's appendages performed the Quartzian gesture of volunteer service. I will serve as the Quartzian component. You? Director Zrel 4 exclaimed. After what happened in the laboratory? Precisely because of what happened, VIX-92 replied. My neural pathways have already been exposed to his. There's a higher probability of successful integration. What followed was a flurry of frantic preparation as both human and Quartzian medical teams established the experimental connection. VIX-92 and Douglas lay on adjacent platforms, surrounded by technology from both civilizations working in hastily arranged harmony. Just so you know, Douglas said as the technicians made final adjustments, if you try any funny business in my head this time, I have got firewalls you wouldn't believe. Your humor is inappropriate for the circumstances, VIX-92 replied, though his copper spores released in a pattern that signified nervous amusement. On the contrary, Douglas smiled. Humor in the face of possible death is a very human trait. You might want to download that particular subroutine. Initiating neural handshake in 3, 2, 1, the lead technician announced. The universe exploded into infinite complexity as their minds connected. Quartzian precision merged with human intuition. Alien logic intertwined with mammalian creativity. Two fundamentally different consciousness architectures finding unprecedented synchronization. Through their shared perception, they reached across space to the besieged outpost, establishing connection with the station's systems. Working as one impossible entity, they bypassed normal evacuation protocols, rerouting power, overriding safety measures, and coordinating the rapid deployment of emergency teleportation technology that neither civilization had successfully implemented alone. As the void convergence consumed the outer hull of the station, the last Quartzian was teleported to safety. The neural connection dissolved as emergency medical teams rushed to stabilize both participants. VIX-92 regained consciousness first, his normally ordered mind reeling from the experience of human thought patterns. Did we succeed? He asked weakly. Admiral Flores nodded, her expression a mixture of awe and concern. All 53 personnel rescued. The station was lost, but no lives with it. She looked toward Douglas, who was just beginning to stir. What you two just did, our scientists are saying it should have been impossible. Douglas opened his eyes, looking immediately toward VIX-92. Told you. Cognitive diversity beats uniformity every time. Later, as the Allied fleet mobilized for the first coordinated defense against the void convergence, VIX-92 found Douglas in the observation deck, staring out at the stars. The High Council has reviewed the data from our neural connection, VIX-92 said without preamble. They have approved full implementation of the human interface design across the galactic network. Douglas nodded. Good. We will need every advantage against what's coming. There's more, VIX-92 continued, his voice modulator struggling with unfamiliar emotional harmonics. The Council wishes to formally apologize for the abduction program. It was wrong. Douglas turned, surprise evident on his face. That might be the first time in recorded history that a more advanced species has apologized to a less advanced one. That's just it, VIX-92 replied, copper spores releasing in a pattern never before recorded in Quartzian medical literature. I'm no longer certain which of us is more advanced. Douglas smiled. Maybe advancement isn't linear. Maybe it's about what different minds can accomplish together that they never could alone. As the Allied fleet prepared to face the void convergence, a new transmission was broadcast across both human and Quartzian channels. To all sentient species of the galaxy, the Quartzian Dominion and Earth's unified defense network announce a new era of cooperation. The galactic network has been reformed on principles of cognitive diversity and neural autonomy. In the face of existential threat, we offer this truth. No single mind, species, or civilization holds all answers. Only together can we face the void. VIX-92, watching the transmission beside his former test subject and new ally, realized the profound irony. In attempting to hack a human mind, the Quartzians had inadvertently allowed humans to hack something far more significant, the very concept of galactic civilization itself.